Hi guys, my name is Mike. I'm a filmmaker and content creator from Liverpool, and my work takes me everywhere from the fitness world to the fashion industry, and I like to shoot in S-Log2 on the A7SIII. In this video, I'm going to show you my process from exposing S-Log2 to then taking it into Final Cut and ColorFinale and grading it. So really this video is going to be split into two parts. The first part being the camera settings. I'm going to talk about what settings I like to use, i.e. S-Log2, and then I'm going to also show you how I feel the best way to expose it is. Look, there's a lot of opinions online. Some people say overexpose S-Log. Some people say underexpose S-Log. But what is the sweet spot? Well, I'm going to talk about what I think it is, and then we're going to take that footage into Final Cut, and I'm going to show you how using ColorFinale, we would then bring that to life. So let's get started. So the first thing that you're going to want to nail is your in-camera picture profile. I'm going to hop into the menu now, and picture profile 7 is what I'm going to choose in the picture profile menu. This is the S-Log2 picture profile, and I'm also going to want to change my color mode to S-Gamut3 or S-Gamut3 Cine. I like to go with Cine, slightly more user-friendly. You don't get quite as much of a color range as you do with the S-Gamut3, but again, more user-friendly, so I'm going to go with that. Next is white balance. If you mock up white balance, you can tweak it in post, but it's just not the same as getting it right in camera. So, where possible, always take a custom reading. If you've got a grey card, that's brilliant. If not, look, and you're in a tight spot, you might just have to take it off a white surface in the room. Look, it's not going to be perfect, but it'll do a job still. Failing that, the auto white balance feature on the A7S is alright. I use it sometimes when we're running and gunning and just don't have time. Saved my life a few times. Worth trying. The last thing that you want to make sure that you get right in camera is your exposure. You want to make sure that your image is properly exposed and that you are looking at the monitor on your screen. Sometimes the monitor isn't particularly accurate on the A7S, so there I would rely on my histogram quite heavily. So you're going to want to cycle the display button until you see the histogram. Now with the histogram, the right hand side of the histogram shows you your highlight and your whites are on the very edge. On the left hand side, you've got your shadows and you've also at the very edge got your blacks. So you essentially want to make sure that your little graph isn't going too far over to the left or too far over to the right. Try and keep it somewhere in the middle. You want to preserve those highlights and you want to make sure that it's not clipping. Once you get the hang of this, it's a lifesaver when you're shooting on a bright sunny day. It's difficult to see your screen. At least if you've got the histogram up, you know, right, I'm not clipping. I've still got those highlights preserved and it can be so helpful. Okay, so now we're back in Final Cut. I'm gonna show you what I will do to my footage. So, I've dragged two clips onto the timeline, two slightly differing clips, so you'll be able to see different processes for each one. They're not gonna be too dissimilar. Look, it's a simple grade. This is not anything in depth, it's just something I like to do quickly to my footage. So, we're gonna add an adjustment layer to all of our clips. This is just so we can apply the look right the way across the board. And we're going to color correct each clip afterwards, separately. So, once I've applied my look grade, my adjustment layer, I'm going to drag onto that ColorFinale. Now, I don't feel like I need to look at this event viewer anymore, so I'm just going to close that off, give me more real estate for my actual footage, so I can see my colors. And I'm also going to just show the inspector and look at my ColorFinale. So, I like to add some sharpness. Somewhere around 35, just crispens up my footage. I like it, you don't have to. Next, I'm going to click on Edit Layers, and within here, I like to add my LUT. I just like to see how it's going to look first before I tweak the rest of the settings. Sometimes you could tweak the exposure like this, and then you add your LUT and it changes it all up. Look, I like to just go LUT first. Once I've done that, you can see it's very overly saturated and just very blue. And it's not the look I'm going for. I want to reduce it. I want it to look slightly more tasteful. So I'm going to reduce the opacity of my footage to around 50% of the LUT, sorry, so around 50%. And this, I think, it just makes it a little bit more subtle. That's the look I'm going for. Some people will say, keep your LUT at 100% and then just tweak the exposure. That's something you can do. I've seen tutorials on that, but this is how I like to do it. Okay, so once I've added the LUT itself, I'm going to close out of that, because that's now applied to both clips, but I want to adjust the exposure separately on each one. So if I select my clip, the first clip I'm going to edit, I like to view my waveform. So I'm going to press Command and 7, And that just shows me basically where the exposure's at with my footage. Your whites want to be sitting somewhere around 100, you know, and when I say white, I mean like if something is bright on your screen, if you've got something white that's lit up, that there's not really going to be much sort of detailing, look, you want to have it higher up. So I'm going to add ColorFinale to this layer also. Now, if I go on edit layers, I'm going to add some color wheels. Now with my color wheels, I'm going to adjust the exposure. So in order to bring my white up slightly, I'm going to increase the gain. And you're going to just want to watch that until it, you know, touches near the 100% mark. I've got a couple of white lights at the top there. They are just going to be white, so they need to be fairly high up. They are just pure light. So I'm going to put that up to around, so that it's just touching 100, drag the footage out. But then as you can see, we lose a little bit in the skin. The skin tone becomes very pale and I don't want that look. So I'm going to adjust the midtones. Generally this is where your skin tones will sit. So I'm just going to reduce them. Just brings a bit of contrast back into the image that we may have lost. Somewhere around there. I don't want to lose too much detail, but I'm happy with that. Also bear in mind this was a sunny day, so I'm going to tweak the lift slightly. I don't want my shadows to be too dark. Like I say, it was a sunny day, so there won't be too much in terms of shadows. It's always worth bearing that in mind. Now, once I'm happy with my exposure, I'm going to just increase the saturation. I want to see what the color's looking like. So I like to go somewhere around 1.5, 1.6, especially with S-Log. You want to bring back that saturation. Okay. I still think my skin tones are looking slightly on the blue side. So I'm going to just bring some orange into those skin tones. I'm just going to bring it away from blue slightly. Just warm them up a touch. As you can see, looking good there. So if I just show you the before and after I've messed with my exposure. There you go. Big difference. Big difference. Again, let's move over to the next clip. So to grade this one, or to correct this one I should say, I'm going to add my ColorFinale to that clip. Slightly different clip, we're in darkness this time, but I just want to fix up my exposure. So again, I'm going to edit my layers, open up the color wheels, and I'm going to bring my whites, my highlights, I want to bring them up a touch. Look, he's got a nice backlight, a nice hair light on the top of his head. So you know you've got some overly exposed parts. So I'm going to just bring those up so they're sitting around the 100 mark. I'm quite happy with where my shadows are at. I don't want to lose these people in the background, but I'm just going to drop the skin tones slightly, drop the mid-tones, just bring a bit of contrast. Again, this is just something that you do to eye really, to what you think looks good. Your opinion may differ from mine. That's the beauty of it. And again, just going to add some saturation. 1.5, 1.6, something like that. Look, you can go higher. Sometimes you might want to go higher. And there, like you can see, I'm quite happy with how that looks now. You've got lovely colour in there. It's exposed nicely. And yeah, I'm happy with that look. Okay, it really is as simple as that. Don't overexpose your footage. Don't underexpose it. Just try and find that sweet spot. Get your white balance right. And then when you get to post, everything will just be so much easier. It'll fall into place for you. You won't be fighting against, you know, saving that white balance or saving those, trying to bring back those highlights. You just have to tweak, bring that contrast back, add some saturation, and you'll be good to go. So it really is as simple as that. So I hope this has been helpful. If it has, if you could just leave a thumbs up, it would be really appreciated. And yeah, thanks for watching.